You could move Big Bertha over a couple inches.
I don't necessarily like electrical wiring because I have fat thumbs.
About to do the scariest part of this whole project.
This van is kind of a way to honor, move forward that generosity that I learned there with Mr. Creek. This is the letter that I wrote.
I did something crazy today. Welcome to the future home of my mobile library and bookstore. And then while I'm gone, you could move Big Bertha over a couple inches. Simple line circuit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it and then tuck it back in. I'm going to keep the loop hanging down, and that way when I go to put the light here, all I have to do is snip here and I can add the connectors and the light, and then it has a simple loop going. Added some fabric electrical tape to all the places where the cord touches the metal so that there's no chafing going on and I don't have to worry about rattling down the road and ruining my wires. So a lot of the reasons I hate stranded wire. Hate stranded wire so much. A lot of research that I did said to use stranded wire, but I'm not going to use like a camping van power source, so I actually don't think I have to use stranded wire. So I probably will redo this wiring because I really just think solid core will be the safer one. When I did this wiring with my dad the other day, I was just so excited and in a hurry. I knew where I wanted it to come down, so I tried to wire it backwards when I should have wired it forwards. So I probably am going to end up redoing it. I'm still thinking about it because these are just going to be puck lights, so I might leave these ones. I am going to have an outlet right here. I don't know what for, but I do know that it makes sense that I might need an outlet back here in the seating area. And I will probably put an outlet right
in here somewhere. I don't necessarily have plans for it at the moment, but it makes sense to put something in case I want to light the bookshelves in the future or put something on one of the bookshelves that has power. I still need to get more wiring for that. First electrical project I did in our house was when I redid the kitchen and I wanted to have the sconces on either side of the stove.
Turn on the kitchen lights.
That was kind of easy because I built out the wall a little bit because I put in some shiplap. So I had some furring strips so I could just run the cords behind the shiplap. So I didn't have to cut open any walls or do any drywall. So we have a lot of kids and we have a very large room that I was breaking into 2 separate bedrooms.
This was one very large room. It is now becoming 2 normal-sized rooms. This bunk bed will divide the rooms. The bottom of this will be a wall and a closet for this bedroom. The other bedroom has the top bunk. I'm very proud of myself because this side of the room now has lights and its own light switch. Yes, I'm still working on patching the drywall, but I'm very proud because I added the light switch, I added the lights, and then once the lights were over here, this child was like, I want those lights on mine, so I added these lights onto his side. I've studied the electrical, and to actually be able to do it was really cool.
And I needed each bedroom to have its own lights and its own light switches. I climbed up in the attic, I found the main line and put in my junction box and put in my lines to my switches and my lines to my lights. The bedroom split was the first one that I actually had to cut open walls and run wiring behind the drywall. That's a lot more scary because drywall kind of sucks. I like bright lights and bright rooms. Those recessed puck light can be very bright. I put those in the 2 bedrooms because it was such a huge space. I needed a couple lights in there and one light fixture I didn't feel like was going to be enough, and because we used a bunk bed as the room divider, I didn't feel like a traditional fan hanging down was going to be the right answer. So I did the recessed lighting and I had some of those left over. I really liked the way they lit. So when Jason wanted to have better lighting in his office for his podcasts, I just used the leftover recessed lights I had, but he didn't have a ceiling in his office, so we had to figure out a way to mount them to nothing or mount them to something then to mount in there because there's not an actual ceiling in his office. And because this is horrible, I don't necessarily like electrical wiring because I have fat thumbs. At least I feel like I have fat thumbs that work against me. And so sometimes doing delicate curves with the wires around the screws frustrates me. When Jason wanted to have new lighting in his office, I came up with the how to make these recessed lightings mount up there without a ceiling.
My wife and I, we set up some new lights here.
And I showed him how to do the electrical wiring himself because electrical is probably my least favorite thing to do. Even though I can do it, it's my least favorite because my thumbs. This is a lovely, very tall grandfather clock. Because I'm going to be driving around with books on the bookshelf, I definitely wanted some bookshelves to have doors on them, so I saw this on Facebook Marketplace. I thought this would be super fun. Take out the sound making stuff and put a bookshelf in here. And then this top clock really kind of matches the fun old library design aesthetic that I like. I like the stars and the planetarium up here. It is way too tall, so I'm gonna have to take off this bottom portion here, but I think I can repurpose the rest of it for other things. I also have a really cool idea of turning a globe into a bookshelf, or maybe you open the globe up and I have some sort of art supplies or bookmarks or something inside there, and this base would look good. So I think I can use the whole thing. It just won't necessarily all be the same piece anymore. I gotta strip it down. It all looks like it is real wood, so I should be able to strip it down and see what color it's gonna end up being, because I have a couple other antique pieces that I want to use, but I kind of need them all to be the same color. That one's much quieter. It once had glass here. Obviously, that's broken. But I knew that buying it. I didn't mind. I'll take this glass out and put plexi in there instead. That's fun. So these things are really cool too, and I'm just looking at them and I'm thinking I could definitely reuse them. Couple ideas. One is maybe a telescope for the library. This would make a cute little mock-up telescope. The other thing is these spin off, and it would be fun to put like old-time parchment in it. They'll definitely be able to reuse pretty much all parts of this. I don't know about this thing. I don't know how I'll use it, but it's pretty cool. I'm sure I'll find something I can do with it. Here. Hopefully, I have my new drill bits. Yep. So these drill bits are rated to go through the sheet metal because my other drill bits were not. And even though I got self-tapping screws like all the YouTube tutorials said, it wasn't working. So I need to pre-drill the holes. And I got a paint scraper so that I can work on refinishing the grandfather clock. Okay, I put citrus strip on about 4 hours ago. I'm gonna test to see if it's ready. It might have to wait. Ooh, yep, that is not ready. Nope, that's gonna need to sit longer. And one test spot, so I know it can go down, so it's not ready though. Actually, probably gonna put more citrus strip on it. This side, I put it on a little thicker. Going even though I'm saying that it's not ready. I need to let it sit. I need to have patience. I am gonna let it wait until tomorrow. This bubbly stuff right here, this is how the whole thing should look. And yeah, that's how easy it should come off. I barely even have to use any. I'm just moving it gently across there. So that tells me is that this stuff needs more moisture. It wasn't insulated or wrapped well enough. If I have patience, it will be easier on me in the long run. I have to wait either way. I either have to take longer to do it because it's harder and it's the same amount of time, or I have to reapply the citrus strip and wait. Ultimately, both are going to take about the same amount of time, so I should just reapply and wait. Go out and play. Okay. It's playing outside time right now. We're all out here, including me and Daddy.
about to do the scariest part of all of this. That is to sink the first screw of the framing. It's okay. It's just scary a little. I'm gonna sink the first screw. I need to add a frame up here that matches with the frame up here so that I can put the cross pieces in right here. All right. Okay, maybe I'm not. All right, the research is wrong. These are not the right screws. All right, I switched out screws. I got my favorite ones, the spracks. This is the scariest part of the whole thing. All the research says spracks, self-tapping screws are the way to go. I don't know, we're gonna try it. It's the scary part. And then it sunk in. Okay, it's in there.
I'm gonna test out the new drill bit and see if it's going to be any better than the old ones. Here's my hole that I was trying to do. Oh Lord, please. Okay. It's all good. I didn't go all the way through. This is so stressful. Might have to help hold and hold the camera. It was a lot easier the first time I put it in there. Now I just have to pre-drill the holes all the way across. Let me grab my screws. Oh my gosh! That's unfortunate. The box dumped out. It was in there upside down. It can be fixed. It's working. I just don't have any upward strength. One board in, 10 million to go.
I need a tool belt. The hard part.
What do you think? Is this gonna be a fun place for you? Yeah. I realize now she's very young and super agile that she's not going to be that way forever, and I'm going to need to build some sort of ramp that's going to future-proof it. So in 5 years from now, she can still climb up in here. In high school, I took a class called astronomy. That's where I met my wonderful husband, and where we fell in love. It was destined and in the stars. In astronomy class, I had the opportunity to do an internship at Braeside Observatory. Braeside Observatory is where I learned two things that are vital to this project. One is electrical wiring, and the second is radical generosity. My mom babysat when I was little, and so I learned that sharing is caring. And as a little kid, I was able to share my toys with my friends. My parents were both very generous with their siblings and their families, but Mr. Freed, Robert Freed at Braeside Observatory, was my first experience with someone that I would call radically generous. He was generous with people he didn't even know. He was a pilot, an airline pilot in the 70s, back when being a pilot was like being a movie star. He saved up and he bought this piece of land in northern Arizona where he built with his own two hands this observatory. He didn't build that observatory because he was an astronomer. He built that observatory because he had an interest in the stars, and he donated the use of that observatory to other astronomers. He built that building, he wired that building, he put in the pneumatic system for the dome that turns the telescope, he programmed the telescope and all the 23 different computers at the time that it took to operate the telescope and the dome simultaneously. So he taught himself all of that, and he took all of his effort and his time to build this observatory that he really wasn't even going to get to use. And later, when I was in high school, Mr. Freed donated a portion of his land to our high school. When Jason and I were in astronomy class together, we had the opportunity to go to Braeside and work on this observatory. I did the internship, and so every Friday night, we'd work on the observatory until it got dark. He taught me how to run the telescope. We'd set it up, go home. The next morning, we'd set all the data that the telescope took to process and run, and then we'd go outside and we'd work on building this observatory. One day, I showed up, and Mr. Freed handed me a pair of wire strippers, and I don't even remember. I think it was a voltmeter. And he told me that it was time to wire our little tiny building for electricity so that our telescopes could move automatically and so that the dome on our building could move. He had already wired it up to the main power and ran the line underground. I just had to wire the observatory. I looked at him and I laughed and I told him, there's not a chance I can do this. I have no clue what I'm doing. And he said, well, yeah, of course you have no clue. I'm going to show you. And so we sat there, probably took 40 minutes to do one outlet as I asked a million questions, because if any of you know me, you know that I am very resistant to new things and new ideas. I don't like them popped on me. So I thought Mr. Freed was absolutely crazy that I couldn't do this. Mr. Freed just kept telling me, you can do it, you can do it. He was working on the hydraulic system for the roof. It took me about an hour and a half to do all 7 outlets and the lights. At the end, we turned on the power at the main building and we were taking our little meter and checking everything was done right. And we got to that last outlet and everything was done perfectly the first time. And he looked at me and he said, I told you so. And it was the best I told you so I ever heard, because he believed in me that whole time. Every time I was just being so resistant and so scared, he believed in me. And so that ability to just say, I can do this, I believe in me, really does come from Mr. Freed having that belief in me back when I was 16 years old. Back to the radical generosity. Mr. Freed used his time, his money, his resources, his land to build this observatory for our school. Yes, we had a build day where maybe 10 students came for 2 hours. It was Mr. Freed out there every single day building this observatory for our school, for our students, for students he didn't even know. It was kind of mind-blowing for me. I came from such a tribal family to see there's generosity outside of the bounds of family. It was something I really wanted to carry forward with me in life, and I think that this van is kind of a way to honor and move forward that generosity that I learned there with Mr. Freed. I'm going to cry. I'm going to read the letter now. So Mr. Freed was so generous that he used his personal airplane, his personal time, his personal money to fly organs all over the country and all over the Southwest for organ transplants. And my senior year of high school, he actually was flying back from an organ drop, and he thought he saw some missing hikers And so he flew low to see if it was really hikers or if it was something else. And his plane caught a downdraft and he clipped a tree. And tragically, he was killed in that plane accident. And I got to speak at his funeral. And this is the letter that I wrote. Okay, I can do this. I learned a lot from you, not just about cataclysmic variables, but about life. You taught me never to take no for an answer. You taught me if I wanted something, I just had to go out and get it. The only true barrier in my way was myself. You were a kind man. I remember when Miss McFarland told me about everything you had done. I was amazed that you donated the telescope to the University of Arizona, and even more amazed when I heard about what you were doing for Flagstaff High School. When I first started my internship, I didn't know what to expect. I learned everything from how to program a telescope, the gravitational pull of a white dwarf on a red giant, to how to wire an observatory. I remember when you first handed me the tools and told me I was doing the electrical wiring on the observatory. I thought you were crazy. I knew someone was going to get electrocuted, but I did it because you told me I could. It felt so good as you patted my back and told me, I told you so, as we checked the final circuit and everything went well. You donated your land, your home, your time, and your energy to helping us. You taught me about the light curves the telescope juiced, and you taught me if I just stuck with it, I could accomplish everything. When you died, you passed on as a great man that never took no for an answer. You saw what you wanted, and you went for it, becoming an inspiration to many with your generosity and kindness. Part of the span is a tribute to that.